In the past few months in particular, Sam has been integrating, not what you would call consciously, like many of you do, but he's been integrating more of the essence of the divine, which includes, but it is not limited to, Tobias. He's becoming more and more aware that there is a energy, a consciousness flowing into him, changing the nature of his own reality, giving him insights, giving him awarenesses that he never had before. He and I are talking on a regular basis, but he doesn't know yet how to define me as Tobias. He just knows there is another part of himself that he's becoming more familiar with, more comfortable with, and therefore inviting that part to participate with him in his life. Whereas so many of you come from a background where you started to open up, but you held that part of your divine off somewhere else. You didn't allow it to make its entrance here to earth. You didn't want it to be distorted by the energies of earth or manipulated by other humans. Perhaps its energy stolen or taken away by others. Instead, right now, Sam is very open. He doesn't have those kind of fears. So he's allowing the divine to integrate. He doesn't know the terms yet. He will find many of them soon on the Crimson Circle website, the Cryon website, and other websites. He's going to read extensively about Jung to give him a background in cosmic consciousness or the awakening of the soul. So he's allowing the integration to take place, and it's an amazing and sometimes frightening revelation for him. But just as much, dear Shaumbra, just as much, I am integrating with him. I am becoming more aware of the being called Sam. I'm becoming more aware of its human tendencies and its human needs. I'm allowing myself to come closer in than a spirit or an oversoul normally does. Partly because there is a lack of invitation from the human, partly because even the oversoul fears coming too close. So there is an integration on my part as well. You could say on one hand that Sam is opening to allow me into him in the earthly physical body. It can also be said that I am opening to receiving Sam in the spirit realms, allowing the essence of the human to join me, to join the oversoul on these realms. There's a brilliant lesson in this. A lesson for each and every one of you here today. Because so often, the oversoul will create an expression of itself into the human realms, but then will maintain a distance from it. So often, the oversoul creates the human entity and finds it difficult to connect with it. The veil goes two ways. Definitely goes two ways. Sometimes the oversoul does this because it doesn't want to interfere with the human existence of itself. Other times because it fears getting too close and getting sucked into this thing called human reality. Other times, parts of the oversoul are so wounded and twisted. Some of these parts of the oversoul remain in the near earth realms, caught in their own horrors and their own hell, that they are somewhat oblivious to this thing called the human living on earth. So there's a great disassociation between the spirit, between the oversoul, between the other aspects of the entity itself, and with the human on earth. How often have we seen and felt on our side where there is a disassociation between the soul and the human. Where sometimes the soul actually resents or rejects that human expression of itself, turns its back on it. Indeed, as souls can do that. Turn its back on that human expression. And how does that human on earth feel? Unworthy, unloved, unneeded. As you do your work on earth, the work of consciousness change and evolution, there's a parallel work going on our side. The awakening and the reintegration of the souls to bring them back into wholeness. The souls that have had human incarnations, that have been wounded, broken, that have been raped, that have been imprisoned, that are so tormented that even their soul cannot look at them. As you are doing your work, and it comes first, it leads the way. As you do your work, there's work taking place here on our sides, bringing souls back to their human expressions. Not just human expressions from this lifetime, but expressions that are buried in the soil of the earth. Expressions that are wandering in the near earth realms, bringing them back together. My experiences with Sam are giving me new insights, and there will be books, giving me new insights in the relationship between the human creation, the human expression, and its sovereignty, along with the oversoul of the being. The awareness of all of these different levels taking place at one time is not just up to the human, it's up to the soul as well. And dear Shaumbra, you're the standards of leading the way on earth, and to calling back your own essence, your own soul, your own self, and to allowing it to integrate with you on earth and encouraging you to integrate with it in the other realms. Bringing yourself back together. Sometimes humans cry out at night. They pray at night. They pray for understanding and guidance. They pray to mend a broken heart, to clear up confusion in their human mind. And they wonder why nobody appears to hear them. Sometimes it's the soul. The soul is either tormented in its own way or turned its back. This is the new energy. You are the ones that are changing that old dynamic. Bringing the essence and the spirit here to earth and allowing the soul to bring your awareness to it in the other realms. This is where heaven and earth meet. This is the new consciousness. What an honor to have Sam here. What an honor for Sam to invite me into his earthly existence. What a pleasure for me to have him here in the other realms. Last month, Kuthumi came in with his brilliance. Oh, dear Kuthumi. It came upon a time of questions and answers, and it came up to be a very sincere and real and genuine question that came up. A question that brought so much energy for all of you, and such a wave of realism and trauma, that it actually threw Cauldre and probably Kuthumi off. Had some of you laughing at a time where perhaps laughter wasn't deserved, but it doesn't matter. Had some of you very confused and out of your body. You didn't even hear the question. We'll repeat it in a moment. But you didn't hear it because it was far too poignant and too real. Doesn't matter. We're going to read it again. Had some of you so angry. You know, sometimes absolutely we love to see you angry. Saint Germain provokes your anger because you get complacent. You get so complacent at times that he likes to come and prod you and poke you and get you so angry at him. And then you know what happens? Later we all, including you, we all have a good laugh. Say, you know what? It doesn't matter. It was the experience. But I did want to, I've been asked by Cauldron to address this question again. So you heard it a month ago, most of you. You're going to hear it now, but in one short month since this was asked, I want you to hear the difference both in the question and the feeling behind it. And I want you to perceive your wisdom, your absolute wisdom in the answer. Because, you see, you already know. You already know. Yes, it doesn't matter. You already know. But you also know what this person, because they write on behalf of so many, you already know what they're going through. You already know the despair that they're in. You already know that they are in their winter of despair. They can't see the spring of hope. You know that before them there is nothing. You know that they go not directly into ascension, but they experience what it is like to be forever lost. You know that feeling. You know the absolute conflict. So please do read the question again.
Dear Tobias, how dare you tell us we're just playing games as if you have nothing to do with the games we're playing? You said last month, there's something inside of you that's choosing it and picking it and making it a reality. You told us many times that all we have to do is make a clear, conscious choice in the now moment and we'll create our reality. That is a game. We chose to let go of our old beliefs that are no longer serving us. So what is the something that is inside of us? Since we seem to have no control over it, and it somehow has the power to create our reality without our consent, I'll call it our soul self. The game is that we choose to adopt the new belief that we choose our reality, but it's our soul self that gets to make the official choice and thus create our reality. Our soul self is obviously choosing to create from our old beliefs that we have let go. Saint Germain said that to finalize our ascension process and go to our third circle is only a choice. I made that choice over a year ago, and now I can see why I am truly not the creator of my reality. Yes, I'm tired of this game, and I wish I could go back 8 years and forget everything you've told us. I will, however, let go of these new beliefs and allow my reality to be whatever it is. If there is a third circle, there is no choice to get there. That explains why we've been stuck in this ascension process for over 2,000 years. We're creating our own reality, but for the consciousness part of ourselves, it's from something inside, and we have no choice. Tobias, do you really not understand our frustration?
Indeed. And you know, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. I mean, it absolutely doesn't. Now, with all due respect and great love, oh, you know, when I say that, you know something's coming. There's a game, absolute game, and it's a wonderful game, and it doesn't matter. But the game is, I'm going to separate myself from my soul. I'm going to put my soul off somewhere else, and I'm going to allow it to have the, what you would call the power. I'm going to let it be the creator, and I'm going to play the game of being the little human. I'm going to make demands of God and Tobias and Saint Germain and of my soul. But I'm going to play the game that nobody's listening. I'm going to play the game that I am the puppet at the end of the strings being managed by the puppeteer. And it's a brilliant game. It's a beautiful game, actually, because it allows you to see what it's like to feel that you do have no choice, that you are not the sovereign being, that you do not have dominion over your own creations. Very much like the story of Saint Germain or Tobias or Katumi, all stuck in our different types of prisons. What a wonderful game that was, to allow ourselves to get stuck, to pretend that we had no say over our reality, to turn that reality and that consciousness over to other humans and governments and gods and who else knows what. We all played the game. We know what it was like to feel trapped until one day we said, it doesn't matter. Until one day, Saint Germain said, hold on a second. I've been in this crystal for 100,000 years. Kind of stupid, a little slow, actually. Saint Germain actually took that short bus to Ascension. But, dear ones, it finally dawned on him after trying to break his way out and after trying to anger his way out. He finally said, it doesn't matter. I got myself in here. I get myself out. He stopped playing the game of separation between his human self and his soul self. And for all of you right now, I encourage you to stop playing the game that you've got this soul that's off somewhere else that has all the answers. It is you. You know what the definition of divinity is? You, in the now moment, experiencing your creations. It's not this grand angel that exists off somewhere else unless you put it there. It's not this complex state of perfection that exists in some far-off dimension until you are worthy to receive it unless you put it there. Actually, the divine is you in this moment. Part of you doesn't want to accept that because you want the divine to be grand. It is not. It is not. That's an illusion. Your divine is simple. Your divine is so elegantly simple. How could it be grand? How could it be big or complex? How can it be greater than you? Divinity is the most simply amazing part of yourself. And it's there. It's part of you. It's not just inside of you. It's not hovering around you. It is you. And it's there for you to feel and experience anytime you want. The one who asked this question has gone through tremendous anger, tremendous feeling of being a victim, playing a tremendous game of, I am not in control, and damn it, I don't want to be. One who asked the question is playing the game. So are many other Shaumbra, because I know what it's like. I know how you can relate to this question, how you can have compassion for it, because you felt it also. You can play the game as long as you want it to be the game. I encourage you to do this. Ask yourself, what do I give up if I stop playing the game? What do I have to give up? For those who play the game of being the victim, that their soul and God exist somewhere else, you give up this thing called weakness, blaming it on somebody else, feeling that you don't have control. And that's actually a very interesting thing to experience. Suddenly, when you give up that game, you have to truly take the responsibility for your choices. So many of you are in conflict with your soul, and your soul in conflict with you. You've set up this game. Oh, indeed, the soul ultimately cannot be tarnished. It cannot be destroyed or twisted. It cannot be polluted. But you can play the game that it can be. You can play the game that it will turn its back on you because you want it to. You can play the game that the chasm between you and your soul and your divinity is so grand and so vast that you will never reach it. You can play that. You can play the game that I made a choice and it didn't work out. Well, of course it didn't work out, because you don't want it to work out. You can play the game that says, I'm going to exit, I'm going to leave, but you really don't want to leave. You see, Take a look at the contradictions you set up for yourselves. Take a look at the experience that you've set up yourself. You can blame others, you can blame us, but until you realize you got yourself into this, you created it, now you and only you can uncreate it. I, Tobias, do not have a key. Katumi does not know the secret password to your illusions. And Saint Germain doesn't know a single mystery that's going to get you out of your mystery, out of your illusion. Only you. And when you can take a deep breath, when you can say, oh, it doesn't matter anymore, I'm just going to let myself out. I'm going to uncreate what I created. Then, dear ones, you have enlightenment. When you can say this thing called divinity, that I am, the God of self, is not some far-off, illustrious creature living in some other grand dimension while I suffer down here. When you realize divinity is simplicity, so simple, it's unfathomable by the human mind as you know it right now. It can only be felt. It can only be experienced. Such simplicity that you stop playing the game of complexity. Such brilliant clarity that you stop trying to figure it out and you just live it. This is indeed the best of times. And it is indeed the worst of times. And it doesn't matter. And so it is.
Tobias, I got a little confused tonight. You explained and ended with a stop with the blaming. You are the creator. And I go back to January when you were describing to us your transition into who you call Sam. Mm-hmm. And actually, I believe you used the word fear, where other oversouls fear their own creations of getting too close, and that's part of the challenge of the beauty of your transition, as compared to, I guess, to say your peers. But at that point, you also explained that have you ever, well, if you are one, or have you ever known someone who felt completely unloved, unsupported, and that they were, because their oversoul could not bear to look at what their incarnation had done, and they turned their back on them. So, okay, and then you're never alone, you're always loved. Where does all this tie in together?
Indeed, and when a human decides to go into a place of their own darkness, they create the energy that has the soul and the oversoul turn their back on them. And the oversoul and the soul are doing this in honor, you see. When the being decides they want to be alone, they will create that reality, even though they're surrounded by the love of other humans or the angels. So it is a manifestation, and it is a acting out of everything that is going on with that being. That's why we say it's a game. It's a beautiful game. It's a magnificent game that's being played. But that's also when we say, when you're ready to understand that you are God, that divinity isn't out there somewhere. Divinity isn't a golden angel sitting in a palace or heaven or anything like that. It's not waiting for 2012, and it's not waiting for you to get over some of your bad habits. The divinity is the simplest, most beautiful and profound thing, and it's you. It's right now. It's you in this moment. But if you want to pretend that it's not here, it will go away. If you want to pretend that you are unloved, it will not love you. If you want to pretend that you are less than God also, it will pretend that it's less than God also. You see?
Yes.
It is so you right now. We've offended some by saying, stop playing games, and we're going to offend them again by saying, stop playing games. Unless you enjoy the games, but then understand they are your games. There's nobody manipulating it. There is no conspiracy against the divine. It is perception. It is a game. And again, we ask all of you to say, what do you give up when you stop playing the game? When you can understand that, you'll understand why you can, not you, but all of Shaumbra, why you continue to play it. There is a sense of discomfort or unease with saying, I'm a creator. I am that I am. There's also a game that's played that said, if I'm a creator, then I should be able to snap my fingers and manifest $1 million. That's a game. You're challenging in a very old energy human way. You're actually trying to become superhuman rather than very divine. And it's a game that you continue to play, and then you won't let yourself manifest it, you see. You actually could. You actually could. But you won't let yourself, because then the game ends. I know some of you are on your email right now. Thank God I don't have an email address, but Calder and Linda do. Say, but Tobias, damn it. And I say, damn it back to you. You're playing a game. You're playing the game of being broke or sick or lonely or whatever it is, and it's wonderful. I admire you. I admire you. The only question I ask, based on your basically demands to us, is, well, when do you want to stop playing it? And you say, but I'm not playing a game, and you continue to be impoverished and ill and not a creator. And that's fine. We love all of you. We truly do. And we honor all of you, just as your soul and oversoul and all this other stuff honor you and are going to play the game right along with you. It is a marvelous game. But you have said, I'm done with it. You've said, please, somebody come in and tell me it's a game. Somebody come in and tell me it doesn't matter. That's why we're here.
Excellent, thank you.
Hello, Tobias. I felt a great deal of relief in January when you talked about the oversoul rejecting and resenting its wounded aspects in some instances.
Indeed.
And then in March you addressed the issue again and said that it's the human entity that makes the choice and the soul honors the human choice. And I'm sure there are many variations on the decisions that are made, but I'd like you to address my particular issue, whether it was me as a human that made that choice or a soul, my soul. And then, and I was wondering if it has anything, my individual choice had anything to do with bringing into mass consciousness the abandonment trauma that occurred when we came into duality and left the soul in a cocoon to go within.
Indeed. Now, I'll try to keep this very simple, and this is something, boy, we could talk about for a long, long time. But let's take a look at, and let's take it out of this story, and let's put it into spirit and you, the God source or essence, whatever you want to call it. Basically, gave you, birthed you. And you are spirit, but it gave you a unique identity as yourself and said, go forth, do anything you want. Ultimately, you'll discover you are the same as me, but you are unique. You have the same creator abilities. I will never stand higher than you. Spirit saying this. And I'm oversimplifying, of course. You have the same abilities, and what you have that's different than me is the collection of your own experiences that are uniquely yours, even though I can feel them and know them. So you said you can do anything Spirit said you can do anything you want. You went out there, and at some point you, like many others, rejected Spirit. Said God is dead, or there is no God, or I hate God. Now the moment you say that, there becomes no God. Because God is absolutely in compassion and responding to everything that you choose. And you would be choosing to say there's no God. If you're angry with God, God will play right along with you and let you be angry. And God will play the role of saying, yes, I created this miserable life for you, make you suffer. Be angry with me. It's the same in the relationship between your soul self and what you call your human self, and saying that you resent the higher self. And there are abandonment issues. If I have a spirit, if I have a soul, where is it right now? Damn it, I've called on it. And it plays that game with you, and it goes, okay, I'll go hide for a while. You see, it's here all the time, but it's just this wonderful, beautiful game experience that's being played. So, literally, there is no differentiation between what you perceive as the human self and the soul self. But this division is created, the abandonment issues and everything else. But in the end, it doesn't matter, because you are that you are. You are your soul, your spirit, yourself. You're not just an insignificant human. Spirit turns its back on you when you ask it to, and it does it very well. Thank you. This I would love to talk a lot more about this, but time is running short.
Maybe St. G will, huh?
Yes, and perhaps one of you will take up the book God Hates Me, subtitle Because I Hate Myself. Oh, all these books and so little time.